Welcome back to the Blissful Athlete, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Today I've got an awesome video for you all. I am releasing a whole new series of videos. I want to start interviewing and collaborating with people that I feel can help you execute on whatever it is that you're wanting to achieve or manifest in your life. And so, of course, the first being that I would always lead you to is, of course, my guru, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. But while I've been here in the Matrix in Los Angeles, I've met a lot of people that I know can help other people that are currently spiritual and living in the Matrix. And one of those individuals is David Meltzer, former CEO of the legendary Lee Steinberg Sports Agency. He's the co-founder and CEO of Sports1Marketing, which is arguably one of the most notable sports marketing firms in the world. He started with nothing, yet he became a millionaire just 9 months out of law school and a multi-millionaire by the time he was 32. However, after he became a multi-millionaire, he went broke. But he had an incredible spiritual awakening right before that, or a few years before that. And now today he's made all his wealth back and then some. And so today he's a philanthropist, he's a serial entrepreneur, he's written multiple books, two of which are focused on the subject of success in business and are #1 bestsellers, which includes one of the books that I just read, which is Connected to Goodness. And he also shares all of his business principles on his top 5 iTunes business podcast, The Playbook. One of his main principles of which is to find a way to serve others. And so everything that he and his business partner, who I must mention is Hall of Famer quarterback Warren Moon, everything they do is to create wealth and happiness with all of the lives they touch. And so today, David's company is involved with the Super Bowl, the Masters, a number of other sporting events, but he's constantly interacting with the community, with the youth, and enriching them in incredible ways. And so today he has an amazing passion and desire to help others, which is clearly evident, especially after meeting him. And it's really no wonder that he's been honored as a Marshall Goldsmith's top 100 business coaches in the world. And both Forbes and Entrepreneur named him as one of the top keynote speakers on the planet. And Variety magazine even voted him as Humanitarian of the Year. And if you watch the movie The Secret, he easily could have fit into that film, which is interesting because after my interview, the next Secret that's being filmed, their film crew came to get some footage from him. So it looks like he's going to be in the next release of The Secret as well. And so with that being said, we're going to dive into the interview that I had with David Meltzer. I promise you, you are going to love it. His book is actually incredible, and I mention it, but I don't read too many books these days, but his is one of those that I would really highly recommend to everybody that is, 1, spiritual, or 2, interested in manifesting massive amounts of wealth. So with that being said, we're going to jump into the interview. And before you do, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. And yes, enjoy the interview and we'll see you afterwards. Where I met you was at the Omni Athlete Conference, which was an incredible happening in the world of sport, really. Being former athletes, I'm a former professional ice hockey player, David a former football player. To see these two worlds come together of athletics and consciousness is extremely interesting and exciting, being a former athlete that went through this incredible awakening, spiritual awakening. And I know that reading your book and just hearing your story that you've also had an incredible awakening as well. And so I just would like to shed a little light on what is your involvement with the sports world as far as awakening people to different states of consciousness. I know you speak extensively on business and various other aspects, but what about athletics and bringing a higher state of consciousness to the world through sport?
You know, it's interesting because several words that you use, and I'm very conscious about the words that we use in helping to articulate to people the force of my message, the spectrum of the message, how wide it spreads, as well as the clarity of what we talk about. Number one of the most common things that people start with me is, oh, you're so busy. busy to me means unavailable, right? And so, I utilize pragmatic time in order to make me accessible to everyone, which then lends itself to what you're talking about in awakening. I really try to utilize the conscious continuum from a pragmatic conscious world of what we think, say, and do to the subconscious world of how beliefs are formed, patterns, disciplines, neural pathways in the brain are formed, the 40,000 of the subconscious thoughts that exist in everyone, especially athletes utilize those. And most importantly, the unconscious competencies. There's a DNA that exists within everyone that we can activate the DNA that best suits the methodology or execution of what we want in the world. And so consciously, subconsciously, and unconsciously, we can affect our personality traits, characteristics, obsessions, addictions, which creates that frequency to manifest or shop for what we want, whether it's faith or money that we utilize, both great currencies. Where in sports I try to help is understanding that this continuum of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious thought is not an awakening. Like, I believe everyone's connected. The thing I like is more, it's a transformation and an evolution, right? I believe I went through a quantum shift, which most people can indicate as an awakening. I think everybody is already woke. I think we're connected. The problem is we don't understand the interference, the corrosion of that connection. We are all, and I know you believe this, and the reason you were a professional athlete and a hockey player is that you had certain aspects of your connection that were clearer and cleaner than other people, but there's areas where you had interference and corrosion, which truly is the ego-based consciousness. And that ego-based consciousness creates void, shortages, obstacles, resistance. And so what I really try to teach all athletes, and I work with athletic executives, announcers, athletes themselves, is how to connect with a cleaner connection. We're a lamp, we're already plugged in, so how do I figure out where the interference and corrosion is, and how do I clean that? In other words, get out of their own way. Why it's so prevalent in athletics and why for you it's so important is that in order to truly understand and be aware, which people confuse for awake, but to be aware of what's existing takes an enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. For whatever reason, sports has the most people that can enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential. And it's funny because when we start doing things that we enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of our potential, we start calling it a sport. For some reason, you can't, darts is a sport, pool is a sport, swimming is a sport, e-sport is a sport. Before people consistently, persistently enjoyed the pursuit of their potential of gaming, it wasn't a sport. But now that people enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential of gaming, it becomes a sport. I think we should rename sports that any event that you enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, which can be truly defined when you watch the Olympics and see, that ice hurling or curling or whatever that is. Why is that a sport? Because some idiots enjoy consistently, persistently pursuing their potential of getting a puck to slide on the ice towards a circle. Think about how arbitrary and capricious sport is.
Yeah.
So look, life is sport, and what I'm here to do is to help everybody pursue their potential like the great athletes of our time.
So, if you haven't read his book yet, I actually don't normally read books these days. It's either
right
a yogic scripture or something that my guru is speaking on. So this is the first book I've read in some time, and I cannot say how amazing it is. First and foremost, I'm excited to read your next book as well. The people that are in my audience, they are already spiritually aware, is the word, not cool. Woke, but they're spiritually aware. And my guru speaks a lot of similar things that is in your book. And what you kind of just touched on was the awakening of DNA. So my question is, all this junk DNA that's in the body, that is supposedly junk DNA, it can be awoken. And so leading into that, with that understanding, what do you think is the true potential of the human being? and especially when you bring in this context of, you know, pursuing your passion through sport or anything in life.
I think as far as potential and infinity exists, that I could look into a microscope and not find the end. The particles would just keep existing. I feel like I could look into a telescope and not find the end. I believe that's true about human potential. When I talk about human potential, I talk about the unconscious soul potential, right? If you look back from Sanskrit and all the great downloads that exist and calligraphies that I trace, which I'll show you, are in my office as well. But these downloads have an infinite amount of power, right? They have an infinite amount of energy in it that we, as the embodiment, can't understand. You know, what I've learned is we've been given a body. When I say we, we're all connected, right? We've been given a body that creates an existence of separateness. And so we're here to learn lessons related to that separateness. And those lessons keep on coming in this embodiment until we learn them. And they'll keep on coming until we learn them. And if we haven't learned them, they result in something that we've defined as pain. And that's the indicator that, hey, dummy, you gotta keep on learning. This lesson isn't complete. The irony of the lessons that we learn is that at any time through this embodiment, we can forget every single lesson that we've learned, which creates that challenge of the enjoyment of the consistent, persistent pursuit of our potential. And the cool thing is that we all have the power to remember all of the lessons, even ones that we weren't conscious of, at any time. Right, we're able, you know, I've learned lessons that existed far before this embodiment, and I don't know where they came from. And, you know, I get credit for things that have come through me that I have no idea where they came from and how they existed. And so part of that awareness is knowing the radical humility of what this experience is, what this journey is, what this embodiment does, and what I'm supposed to be doing with a mindset that helps all create the oneness that we're meant to be, right? It's really, I think the gift of that book and why people, you know, like you and I enjoy that book at different levels is that I have spent a lifetime transcoding high complex, high vibration information into a wide, powerful spectrum that now has a stronger force and great clarity. And so if you are a, you know, ego-based narcissist who just wants to make a ton of money, you can get something out of that book. And I think reading it, you can see that.
Yeah.
And if you are a guru and a great master, like, you know, my master, you know, Dr. and Master Shah, from Qigong healer to mind, body, soul transmission expert to true healer, to Sangeeta Sahi, all the greats that I've been, they can read that book and tell me, you know, you're getting there. But they enjoy it, right? There's some clarity in it. Even though it could read, I love it because it's like Think and Grow Rich. You know, that thing can read like Buddha, or it can read like Carnegie. Right? That's the goal of that book. I want people to read it like Carnegie, or, you know, even Napoleon Hill, or it reads like Buddha.
Yeah.
You know, because I know I'm a Buddha, and that's where it has. That's when I try to define people. You want to have a spectrum. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just specifically to one person.
Yeah.
Or one type of person.
Yeah, and that's so true. So true. I was telling my wife, I'm like, you need to read this book once I'm done. Like, it is so.
Well, give her a whole copy yourself. You should have told me. I would have given you two.
But I can't praise the book enough.
I can't wait to read my new one, Game Time Decision Making, because it's an evolution, but I really enjoy it because even like this title, Connected to Goodness, obviously is more on the awareness side of things.
Yeah.
But you're talking about McGraw-Hill, very pragmatic. We're talking about game time decision making. I think they put high scoring business strategies from the biggest names in sports.
Yeah.
This thing is more spiritual than that book.
Really?
But I've been able to transcode it. And so someone can read this and go, oh my gosh, this is an enlightened text.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, the way that you're speaking in this book, you can connect to people that don't quite understand like various spiritual truths, but they get it because the way that you're dissecting it and delivering it in a way that they'd understand and then can apply it to their day-to-day life, whether that's business, spirituality, etc. Again, I'm excited. When I read that, I'm like, I think I need to reread this one.
Right. No, don't let the name fool you.
Okay.
Just like I tell business guys, don't let the name fool you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let the names fool you. I'm going to come on, my next book is going to be Don't Do Business with Dicks, and it's going to be a highly spiritual one. But pragmatically, the masses are going to dive into that book thinking it's one thing. But what I am is a farmer, and when I say that is, I plant seeds. I do it in my daily life by speaking, coaching, all the different interviews, my own podcast, TV shows, and of course my books. My belief with the infinity of time is that I'm not worried about when the seeds take root, but they will grow. They'll grow, and if I get better at having a stronger signal, a wider spectrum, and greater clarity in what I write, say, do, think, believe, then those seeds, right, I get a bigger farm. And all of us are in that farm, and these seeds, there might be 17-year-olds that read this book because they're big sports fans and want to know about Tom Brady and Belichick, or about Aunt Danica Patrick and Maria Sharapova, or Tillman Fertitta, or Matt Higgins, whoever these great sports people are. But I know that I'm planting seeds.
You're gonna write
and whether they're 30, 37, 47, they're coming in here today to film the next Secret, the movie The Secret. What made The Secret so interesting to me is I didn't believe it when I watched it. I thought, sitting in a chair, dreaming about having a Ferrari was offensive to me, right? My ego jumped out. I worked really hard for my Ferrari, and, but all it did is exactly what my books do. It set a seed in me, and it was an incredible thing. It was a catalytic event that I didn't know it was growing every day. And as much as you can look at that as a narrow focused as I was before I went through my transformation, those seeds are what created the transformation, so that I could understand more and more, even though so many different levels. People could watch that movie, very low vibrating, business, money oriented, grubbing, narcissistic people like myself, to my wife who was completely abundant and already spiritual. It meant something different to her. She was watching a different movie, right? And she kept on saying to me, you don't get it. Well, I think you might sit with somebody that read this book and go, I like it, but I don't, and you're like, no, you don't get it. But it'll help them, work 64-hour days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Which is a spiritual quality, to be in that intense space of action. And I mean, the fact that The Secret's coming in here, or the same production is coming in here, I couldn't agree more. In Sanskrit, there's three things as far as, first there's Shravana, which is listening. Then there's Manana, which is internalizing, cognizing. But then there's Nididhyasana, which is the most important, which is taking action after understanding these concepts and whatnot, which I agree, in The Secret, it was very inspiring, and it did change my life. It was the first seed that was planted for me, and it catapulted me into a whole new space. But I think, it really did, it could have emphasized that space of action more, which is what I think is so incredible about you, the way that you're able to cut down your time, like time being the most important asset of anybody's day, and you're just so efficient with it. I think that is something that I think a lot of people could really gain a whole new perspective of life if they really just became more efficient in their time. For people that are, let's say, like you said, I don't know if you said in the book, I think it was in one of your interviews, but smoking pot and sitting on the couch in their mother's house.
Getting high, sitting on the couch, sick and broke on their mom's couch.
Yeah.
Which I used to think every spiritual. If I saw a guy like you, I think you were living on your mom's couch, sick, broke, and high all the time. That's what I would do.
So people like that are following my channel, or that are spiritually awoke, and because they tend to actually smoke marijuana or feel like, I just need to be, get in that same vibration, and then that's it. What would you say to them to just wake them up and say?
So, first of all, don't judge a book by their cover, right? There's 3 laws that you have to realize, and there's nothing wrong morality sits in the subconscious, right? The only thing I see wrong with smoking marijuana is if it's illegal, because we have a social contract living in this country to follow the laws, and if you want a law changed, go fight to change the law before you break it. That's just a personal belief, but I don't think there's any morality in it, right?
Yeah.
It's legal in some states, it's not legal in other, so how could it be moral here and not moral in somewhere else?
Yeah.
So, you know, and the medicinal qualities of are incredible. But moreover, what I like to say is there's 3 laws. You know, and it responds and co-aligns with the Sanskrit. One, there's the law of Goya, right? I believe your mindset has to understand the pragmatic existence of the embodiment, which is there is no action, nothing happens until you take action. Nothing happens. So in life, we're in a man-made construct of 24 hours. Right, and I look at activity, I get paid for activity I don't get paid for. I look at everything with the lens of productivity and of accessibility. How much value am I providing? How accessible am I to others? And how am I accessing what I want? It's very simple. Right, I get these things really narrow so that I can live this full, purposeful, passionate existence and profitable existence. The law of Goya states, get off your ass. Meaning, you get one action in the day. Everything else is a reaction to that action. So my mindset, and people that are sitting at home high on their mom's couch, hopefully not broken sick, I would say your first action, you have the easiest path to it, which is find your center, find your peace, clear the connection to that which inspires you. You're connected to the most powerful source of energy that you can't even understand. We have more power in a finger than most people even understand. I'll light this building up for a month, in just my finger. Why not take action in the day? And that action mindset to me is, where's my peace, joy, center, power? When I find my peace, joy, center, power, whatever you want to call that, however you want to do it, that's my first action. Now, everything else that happens during the day is a reaction to that. It's just a reaction, so I got to have a second mindset. It used to be, how do I punch through whatever I have to react, right? How am I going to break through, beat it, overcome it? I'm going to go over the wall, I'm going to go under the wall, I'm going to go around the wall. And man, is that exhausting. It's a depreciating, soul-sucking experience. And then I realized, man, there's a mindset that's like a little key. And all you gotta do is turn it and walk right through the wall every time that wall comes to me. And that's go back to center. Right? So my whole day exists in the law of Goya. Get off your ass, take action. That action is get to center. That reaction is get to center. Continually get to center. That then leads to the law of attraction, right? Which they talked about in The Secret. So if I'm taking the appropriate action in the most productive and accessible way by finding center, joy, peace, and finding my power there, not out of resistance, shortages, voids, obstacles, ego-based consciousness, the need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, attacking, right? All of those different things, right? Because my condemnation is the only thing that injures me, right? What I resist persists. So the law of attraction now exists in the state of joy, peace. Now, in that state, I can then utilize the action that I've taken to be at center of joy, peace, to connect to the most powerful source, so that I can download with appreciation, with gratitude, and the ability to add value to what it is and let it flow through me, like these great books. Right? My favorite troll ever on the internet was the guy who said, "You're just allowing God to speak through you." Like, all right, cool, I plagiarized from God, I'm good. All right, moreover, here comes the hardest one. You got the law of Goya, the law of attraction in this peace, center, and power. Then you have the law of surrender. The law of surrender is a hyper-aggressive state. This is why I really make fun of people that are high, broke, sick on their mom's house, lying around. Because a lot of those people don't take action. A lot of those people just sit in center. But here's the problem, they then have to react. So they may be at home and they feel at peace, right? But what happens? They have to react now. Why? Because judgments and conditions and ego-based consciousness, their mom walks by and says, "You lazy fool." Their dad walks by, "Get off the couch." Their friends are like, "You're a loser." Right? All these other things occur that are ego-based, separate embodiments that create all of these different resistance, voids, and shortages, and they lack the most aggressive, hyper-aggressive state of they can't get back to center. So they appear as if, you can dress like it, if you're at peace, right? But they aren't. They are initially, but they have no mindset for reactive behavior, And so what ends up is they create a trajectory that is one of resistance and of ego, even though they appear to be very centered. And that's why they can't exist and get a fulfilled practical life in this embodiment, because they're literally not living in the law of surrender. They truly are their own dichotomy, their own, true irony, that they look as if they're the most peaceful, but yet they're the most tragic. They literally are the farthest in their own way. They've created so much resistance, voids, shortages, anxiety, all of these different things. And trust me, I coach a lot of them. And when I can teach them, look, you have already done the hardest part, right? To take your action to find center. That's the hardest thing. So many people, they try to use meditation and all these different definitions of what it is. I can teach you how to find center through a variety of different methodologies. But these people that are sitting at their home, on their couch, maybe even broke, hopefully not sick, they know how to find center. Now I just got to teach them the law of surrender, how to react. And reaction is the majority of what we do. We're so far in our own way, it's like sleep. We talked about that at the Future of Sports conference for the Omni conference. I said, I don't understand how people are not spending the majority of their time studying, utilizing the lens of productivity and accessibility, getting mentorship and help with their sleep. Because that's where the subconscious and unconscious is matured. It's the only habit that I can guarantee that almost every human being, every single day of their life, participates in. But yet, they don't spend any time understanding it. They'd rather try to understand how to code a video game. Doesn't make any sense to me. They'd rather try to figure out, how to get to their cubby hole and make an extra $2 an hour. Not me, man. What I want to figure out is how do I clean that connection to the source of energy, the source of all that created all of us, that connected all of us, that allows me to do anything and manifest through faith, what I think say, do, believe in the unconscious competencies, everything that I want. I use an analogy. Money is the currency of this pragmatic vibration, right? Amazon's the biggest marketplace in the world. Well, Amazon takes 3 different levels of belief for empowerment, right? The green card, the platinum card, and the black card. You got the green card, you're limited. You got the platinum card, you're less limited. You got the black card, you live in a world of more than enough and abundance. People don't put that same philosophy to the greatest currency on earth, which is faith, right? If I put faith in what I think, say, do, and believe in the unconscious competencies, my frequency, if I put green card faith out, I'm limited, right? I put platinum card faith, I'm less limited. But if I can put black card faith out, unstoppable, unlimited everything, right? That's where the law of Goya, the law of attraction, and the law of surrender all come together. Put my black card of faith. Now I have the power of shopping, but not shopping from Amazon, which is a fair marketplace for this environment. I can buy almost anything on it. But the universe, that's how people do things that we never created. You want to do, you listen to other people and put faith in what they think of you, then you're going to be a copy. You're going to be limited to only what they believe, what they think, and what they've done. I don't understand why anyone would put faith in anybody else, or anybody else's beliefs of what they want for you. If you have an idea and it exists, you understand it exists. I know that's maybe not the way I'd put it in my book, and I'm gonna have to rephrase it so other people get it. But if you have an idea and that idea exists, then that exists. So when I think about 1 billion people on earth, or more than 1 billion people on earth, being empowered to be happy every single day, 365 days a year, not all the time in those 365, but literally, and I see a world with what it would be like if 365 days a year, 1 billion people or more would be happy every day. I know it exists. Now I just have to put faith into it. Not faith into people going, you're crazy, it'll never happen. How could you do that? How can you empower? I got the math for it. I got to find 1,000 people like you to be able to empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people. 1,000 divided to thousands, a million times thousands, a billion. Tell me why it doesn't already exist. But I know if I can help effectuate that, and through the law of surrender, allow it to happen through my faith and putting faith in other people and putting faith in other people, man, this world would be an extraordinary place. And the irony is, before this, my goal was to make $100 billion or more. And I think that's the way I'm going to do it, is by making 1 billion people happy.
Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
So I want to kind of touch on that understanding of happiness, because, well, in your book, you talk about the first time you took your grandpa into his new home after his wife had passed away, and he walks into the hospital, or not the hospital, the home, and says, "I love my room." And you're like, "Grandpa, this isn't your room." He's like, "I don't care, I love it anyways." And just that perspective of already loving something without seeing it, that's showing that true happiness is there. And when I hear you talk about giving, you want, a billion people to be happy, you want to help them be happy, are you helping them through perspective, or are you helping them for achieving whatever they want? Because I think you understand where true happiness lies. So how do you kind of...
Mindset, right? So if I can impact or empower them with a certain mindset, not only will they be happy, but they'll get everything that they want the right way at the perfect time. And they'll be happy by understanding time, understanding the infinity of space and time, and understanding how connected we are, understanding things like my condemnation only injures me, right? Understanding what attacking thoughts do to ourselves, understanding the ego-based consciousness of understanding and being aware of when we're in our own way, when we're separate, inferior, superior, angry, fearful, anxious, whatever those ego-based conscious things that we can become more and more aware of. I think, as we finish this interview up, it's really important, and I really want to stress this. All of these things are muscles, right? What happens is when people like you and I, even though we dress differently and think the same, when we sit together and people listen to it, and then they go and they say, "Yeah, I love those two guys, right? I'm all over. I'm going to be part of this billion people, right?" And then they think it's going to happen overnight, and they think it's already happened for us, and it hasn't. Just like playing hockey, just like working out or playing football or baseball or golf or darts or whatever you want to call the sport, Fortnite. Crazy that kid, 16-year-old played Fortnite, made more money than you played hockey.
Yeah.
But no matter what it is, the crazy thing is remember, it's just a muscle. And so, when you consider these things that we're trying to do a muscle, if you go into the weight room and you bench press, 250 pounds 5 times, and then that's all you can do, we don't get frustrated. We don't quit. We know that with the proper rest and focus, that we can go back and do it 6 times next time. For some reason, when it comes to the stuff that we're talking about, people can't put it into the context of working out. That's all you're doing. You're working out. So if you're doing it, 1 hour a day, then it'll be 1 hour and 1 minute the next time. That's okay. It's a muscle, right? The key is to keep on accelerating and expanding. It will exponentially grow. So keep your focus on the muscle and tell yourself, this is just a muscle. I can only run so fast, I don't get frustrated, I'll run better tomorrow. The greatest thing about these muscles, though, is that unlike the physical embodiment muscle that we have, there becomes a time that your testosterone drops and your muscles don't have as much power. The greatest thing about this muscle is you only get stronger and stronger and stronger, whether you are 50, 60, 70, 80, 110. This muscle only gets stronger because this muscle doesn't exist in the embodiment. This muscle will continue for billions and billions of lifetimes. This muscle will continue to grow and expand. And so that should give you the enjoyment of that pursuit that we're talking about, allow you every day to feel good about whatever you're lifting, however many reps you're doing. It's perfectly where you're supposed to be. And as long as you do more reps and lift more with this spirituality, man, you're going to be way better off. So don't get discouraged. Don't put voids, resistance, and obstacles in your way that don't exist just because you're not where you want to be. There's no attachment to an end in my life. I focus in on that acceleration and growth, knowing that it's unlimited with the strength that I'm going to have because I am connected to the most powerful source of energy, and I will continue to hack away the interference and corrosion that has unlimited potential for me, and I am going to enjoy that ride.
I'll finish this off by saying, I've always tried to look at other people, whether they are, somebody that's already mentoring me, but just in today's world on YouTube, you can find so many mentors. And I think for people that are spiritual but are still wanting to make money and live in the matrix, I just want to say that this is a mentor that you could be learning from, because everything that you're teaching is so down to the core, the root of reality, connected to goodness, connected to God, connected to source, whatever you want to call it. That is the basis. That's where everything starts from. And so if you're on the spiritual path, it's always so important to learn from people that, one, you're resonating with, but two, you know that you can trust. And I just want to say that you're definitely one of those people. And so
it's cool that you said that, because I remember my first resistance when I studied Theta meditation and quantum healing was, hey, if all this is true, then what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've made a conscious decision not to go up into India and meditate all day. I understand the benefit of it. Like, I get people that leave their lives, but Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, who taught me and put me on my path, she told me, hey, make the conscious decision to play the game, and then play it the best you can and enjoy it, but you still can improve these muscles over here. And if you're not ready to only live within those muscles, and you want to play this game for as long as you want, play this game. Learn the lessons. You're not forced to play this game. But if you're gonna live this life, you're gonna get married and have kids and have a house and a car and businesses and all these things and books and speeches and executive coaching, then live the game. Right? I turned me on, because once again went right into the sports side of it and said, yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm going to increase and expand my spirituality, my being, and my awareness, right? And my vibration, because I can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than me. But I'm here today on this earth at this pragmatic level in an embodiment that's made for this pragmatic. I'm going to play the game the best that I can and empower other people to play the game, both games, as best as they can. The pragmatic game, where money is the currency of this game. It is an object of energy which you put into the flow, and now we have a humongous marketplace called Amazon, and you can pretty much have the power to shop for whatever the heck you want. And if you shop for the right things, you'll be happy. You shop for the wrong things, you'll be unhappy. I promise you. If you don't learn from shopping for the wrong things, you're not going to be as happy as if you do. But more importantly, you also can play the game of faith. And all of that is related. The greater my faith is, the greater I play the game on the currency of money with my currency of faith. And that's the exciting thing, that I think all of these books, Connected to Goodness, Compassionate Capitalism, Game Time Decision Making. I even wrote a book for charity with Jack Canfield, right, called Unstoppable, right, Create the Life You Love. All are in that transitory state, that transformation of living with two currencies, right? You make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Put your full faith into the currency of money. Be profitable, passionate, and purposeful with what you do, and put all your faith in what you want at a higher level. To be of value, to be of service, to be accessible and productive in everything that you do, to manifest, have the power to shop the universe. Remember, anything you think of that exists, it exists.
Awesome. I mean, thank you so much for your time, David. I truly appreciate that. I don't have a last question. So I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with David. I know it was really an exciting opportunity for me. I'd never sat down with somebody such as David and had an opportunity to interview them and ask them questions and hear more about their story. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I really want to share some of these individuals that I think can help you if you're in a situation where you're wanting to manifest wealth, or you're wanting to really take your life to the next level and find a better way to execute on certain things such as your business. And so of course, when it comes to my spiritual practice and maybe your spiritual practice, for me, I'm a disciple of my guru, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And so when David's talking about aligning and adjusting, in the interview I didn't mention this, but I'm constantly bringing myself back to the space of Paramashivatva, the connection to the divine, the connection to goodness, as David says in the book. For me, happens through my guru, and it happens through the Mahavakya, which is Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. With that being said, I highly recommend reading David's book, Connected to Goodness. This is something that I'm so glad that I did read, and it is truly a spiritual book. He's talking so much about spirituality in this text, but it can be received by anybody that's interested in business as well. Whether you're spiritual or not, you're going to get something from this book. And of course, if you want to catch up with David and follow along with him on social media, or even try and reach out to him as well, I highly recommend, at least first and foremost, following him on Instagram. That's where I really got a chance to engage and learn more about David. But he also has his personal website, which is davidmeltzer.com. You can find him at Twitter and LinkedIn, which is both David Meltzer. On Instagram, David Meltzer, YouTube, David Meltzer, and of course, he's got his other website, which is sports1marketing.com. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, why not subscribe and hit the bell icon? I'm going to be releasing more of these types of interviews with people that I think can help impact and enrich your life. And with that being said, maybe let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. So with that being said, take care, and we will see you guys on the next video. Be blissful. Nithyananda.